Hi there, so today we're going to learn about the patterns. So let's start with that. In previous video we learned that your outer loop should execute it as your total number of lines are. So you can see that here the number of lines are 5, that is n is equal to 5 at the same time, because we are going from 1 2 3 4 5 and all. So your outer loop should be from 0 to 4, because every time we are working with the variables on loops and all, we used to work with 0 and not with 1. So we are starting with 0, 1 2 3 and 4. Okay, so you have I values that are from 0 to 1. Now decide the j values. Okay, so for j values, in first line your j must be, your j should run 5 times, because in first line the number of elements are 5. So your j should run 0 to 4, because you need to print 5 elements, that is 0 1 2 3 4 5 times. In second line it should run 4 times, in third line it should run 3 times. Similarly in fourth line it should run 2 times, and in fifth line it should just run 1 time, because you only need to print just one element. Okay, so now you have I and j values for this pattern. So convert your pattern into I and j. Okay, now what you need to do is you need to print in terms of 1 2 3 4 5, 1 2 3 4, 1 2 3 1 2 and 1. Okay, so let's just start with the code and you'll understand things meanwhile. So here these are just basic printf, scanf and input things and all. For I equals to 0, for I lesser than n, because here the n value is 5 and we need just 0 to 4, as you can see over here. Okay, then I plus plus. Now for j equals to 0, j, now what we need is, we need the AND condition, that is from 0 to how much. Okay, so you can see that here the thing is simple, you need it lesser than 5, that is j from 0 to lesser than 5. Here 0 to lesser than 4, similarly 0 to lesser than 3, 0 to lesser than 2 and 0 to lesser than 1. Okay, so now just find the relationship between your this condition, that is 5 4 3 2 1, and I and j, because you need to give AND terminal point to j. So just find this 5 4 3 2 1 in terms of I and j. So you can easily see that it should be n minus I, that is n minus 0 5, that is 5 minus 0 5 minus 1 4, 5 minus 2 3. So your AND condition should be lesser than n minus I. Okay, and then just print and just j plus plus. Okay, now what you need to do is you need to print this format, that is 1 2 3 4 5, and you have all these values n, I and j. In first line you want to print first element as 1, and what you have is, you have j equals to 0 for first element in first line, you have I equals to 0 and you have n equals to 5. Similarly for second element, you need to print 2, and what you have is, you have j equals to 1, I equals to 0 and n equals to 5. So just try to find some pattern in this line. So you can see that the line, the element in the single line is constantly changing, and it's in an incremental order, that is 1 2 3 4 and 5. So just find something in this thing that is changing in a line. So you can see that I is constant for a single line, n is constant for everything, the changing thing is j. So try to find some relationship between j values and your line. So in this case you can easily see that your pattern is something j plus 1, because when you have j equals to 0 you need to print 1, when your j is equals to 1 you want to print 2. So just give that print f percentage d comma j plus 1. Okay, now let's execute this thing, jcc minus 2 underscore real dot c. Now just print give input sims 8. Once again, like a previous video, add new line character, because every time you are working with the loops, make sure your things are printed in different line, not just on same line. Okay. So you see that you have the pattern that we were working on. Okay, so yeah, we have time. So now let's working with some another pattern. This is the second pattern. You can see that there are similarities between these two patterns. The pattern is quite similar. The only changing thing is the spaces. You can see that here there are spaces, 1 space, 2 space, 3 space, and 4 space. Remember one thing: never ignore spaces, or never ignore blind or some kind of a null character or anything in the pattern, because when you are working with patterns, we used to see that we need to print 1 2 3 4 5, 1 2 3 4 1 2 3. No, you need to print 1 2 3 4 5. In next line you need to print 1 space and then 1 2 3 4 5. In third line you need to print 2 spaces and then 1 2 3 4 5. If you are quite confused, just replace your spaces with anything. I mean, anything means just replace it with star. Okay, star and star, star star star, and then 4 times star. So it just gives you quite easy view what you actually want to print, what you actually want to do and actually needed to do. So you need to print 2 patterns to get this thing, that is 1 2 3 4 5 one pattern, and then star kind of a pattern, another pattern. So these 2 patterns are quite independent to each other. They are not dependent on each other. So just make sure you are printing both of the pattern independently. So you have already printed the 1 2 3 4 5 pattern. So now you need to print just star pattern. So just do things for star pattern like we have done for the previous pattern. Similarly, that is for n equals to 5, because n remains the constant. There are 5 lines and this is 5, so we can say that n equal to 5. In first, when I is equals to 0, that is first line, we don't want to print anything, so there is nothing in j. In second line, we just need to print one element, so j is equals to 0. In third line, we need to print 2 elements, that is j 0 and 1. In fourth line, 0 to 2, and similarly. So you just find relationship. So in this case, j should be lesser than 0, j should be lesser than 1, j should be lesser than 2. Okay, so you can see that what you want to print is j should be lesser than I. Simple, j should be lesser than I, because this value and this value are same in all the cases. What we learn is we need to find this thing in relationship between I and n. So just find it. In previous case we find relationship that is n minus I. In this case it's just lesser than I. So there is another thing to see over here is the stars are printed before the actual string. So just use another variable k is equals to 0, k lesser than I, as we have concluded from here, k lesser than I, and then k plus plus. Okay, once you do that, just printf star. Okay, just make it for 5. So you can see that you have got this pattern what we were looking for. Okay, so now just remove the stars and make it space. Okay, so that's what we were looking for. Thank you so much for watching the video. Hope you guys liked it. Please press the subscribe and press the bell icon. Thank you so much.